Representative Drew MacEwen. Good morning to you, Drew.
Good morning, Jeff. How are we today?
I'm well. Thanks for coming in today.
My pleasure.
We're having the candidates in all week to kind of get a chat in here, talk as people are starting to look over their ballots. Got some questions that we were going to ask at this forum and kind of go from there. We'll see how things are going. First off, for those who may not be aware, tell us a little bit about yourself. And you're running for re-election, so you got more work to be done?
Yes, I do, yeah. So I'm a Navy vet. Came out here via the Navy in the early 90s, and I was a submarine guy, did 5 patrols, and got out of the Navy and went into the business world, and just fell in love with this area and chose to make this home after my Navy time, and ran for election in 2012 and won re-election in 2014, and here we are again. And the reasons I ran in 2012 and 14 are still there today, and that's fixing K-12 education, strengthening our economy, and reforming state government. And I'm proud of legislation I've had signed into law in all 3 of those areas, and we've still got more work to do, especially on the K-12 front, and that's why I'm running for re-election.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So we have seen the legislatures over the years kind of move the issue down the road a little bit now with the McCleary decision saying, you guys got to get something done this session. It has to be done.
Right.
So what I'm looking for now are some specific ways that we can get in line with the McCleary decision, get this $100,000 fine off of us every day. What specifically are you looking forward to sponsoring or writing this upcoming session?
Yeah, so in an ideal world, I'd love to do one reform bill that would take care of everything and address all the issues. But the way the legislature works, sometimes you got to do this in piecemeal. And I spent actually yesterday, the bulk of yesterday morning, meeting with superintendents from around the district, and we just had a closed door, frank discussion on, what do we need to do, and to sum it up, everybody's going to have to give. The teachers union is gonna have to give in on a few things. School board members are gonna have to give in on some things. Administrators, both parties are going to have to yield. It's the only way we're gonna get to where we need to be, and I think we have the opportunity to do that. We have to. But to answer your question as to specifics, one, let's really get rid of the unfunded mandates that we have at the state level. And I'm working with districts to identify those. It's an easy term just to throw out there. Well, what are they? Well, I'm going back to the districts and saying, help me with this. And so we're generating that list and the things that we can address. Unfortunately, there's some federal ones that we cannot address at the state level, but we can do what we've done at the state. Part of that is the amount of testing we do, getting rid of that, and the teacher evaluation issue that's been going on for a number of years. I believe that belongs to the districts to decide how they want to evaluate the teachers, not at the state level. And so things like that, removing those barriers and let districts go and implement how they see best. That is a key component. Teacher salary is a huge part of this too, and what constitutes basic education. And when the framers of our state constitution in 1889, what they envisioned as basic education has changed dramatically from to what you and I have experienced. In our K-12 education, and what kids are today. We have 21st century kids. We're using 20th century methods and a 19th century funding model, and those things just don't quite line up the way they need to. So it's a massive overhaul that we need to do. We've made progress, but our work is not done, and there's things we need to get out of the way, those barriers at the local level, and get the state out of the way, let the districts implement what they need to, and the teacher salary issue is a big one, and I think there's a growing consensus that the state needs to handle that, and that's going to dramatically change how K-12 education happens in this state. It'll free up the districts between the time that is spent on collective bargaining. That would shift now to the state level. That would free up a lot of time at the district level. You'd have pay equity across the state for teachers. That removes a lot of the issues that we have. We can get into some real deep specifics here. There's lid days, things like that get into these formulas. We'd remove a lot of those issues, and I think we would see, especially in rural areas like this, a tremendous benefit to that end.
Are those some of the things that you said the folks will have to give up when you're talking about some the teachers, the staff, the unions, they'd have to give up something. Are those some of the things?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, everybody's going to have to yield a little bit here to get to the final bill that we need to get to. And on the funding level, I've been an advocate for funding education first with its own separate budget. And the reason for that, and oftentimes it's said, well, that's gimmicky, that doesn't do it. Well, I disagree. There's no more stable funding source than the general budget. And if we come up with a tax that's, quote, dedicated to K-12 education, show me one tax in this state, in the history of our state, that has been consistent and unchanged. And that's just not the case. So let's look at the general revenue, and let's utilize that, and let's get that K-12 budget done. And I believe by March 30th of every year is doable. We rely heavily on the economic forecast in implementing our state budget. We don't get that until April. School districts have to make staffing decisions in May. Let's do that K-12 budget component, and let's have that done. We now have the balance of the time to figure out the rest of the state budget. And if there needs to be revenue discussions, we can do that, but not hold up the K-12 portion of it. And to me, that is a big portion of the entire solution.
Let's talk a little about revenue stuff. Public safety in the Washington State Patrol. I have some friends in the State Patrol who tell me stories of recent graduates, so recent that they're just walking down, flipping their tassel over, and they're talked to by King County, right, Pierce County, things like that. Say, hey, you've got the training, and the state essentially, I would assume, pays for that.
Yep.
Now, why don't you come to King County where we can offer you a much better starting salary? What do you want to do to fix that?
Yep, that's a big issue, and we increased state trooper pay by 17% in this last budget cycle. So we haven't seen the full effect of that yet. That takes time for that to take hold. There's also the issue of what happens within the job, and if you want to make the State Patrol a career track and make that your lifelong working career. It is tough to raise a family in that environment because the way the State Patrol is structured, every 2 years you need to take on a new assignment in a different part of the state. That's tough to raise a family that way. So that's another component to that. And obviously if you go to work for a local agency, you're grounded.
Yeah.
You're in one spot, and you can promote, and you're not moving your family around. So that is another issue that's being looked at that we need to address. But again, we go back to the we did increase state trooper pay by 17%. We're trying to bring that up to par with other agencies, and they have been woefully underpaid. We're making progress in the correct direction there.
Some other folks who may say that they've been woefully underpaid are potential benefactors of Initiative 1433. This increases the state's minimum wage by $13.50 by the year 2020. You think this is good for the economy of the state of Washington? Are you going to vote yes on this Initiative 1433 or no?
I'll be voting no, and the reason for that is right now we have the highest minimum wage in the state. But yet we have the highest unemployment. We have some of the highest underemployment in our state, and we need to look at what those reasons are. And I'll tell you, as a business owner, we have employees that both make well above the minimum wage. We have other employees that are at the minimum wage, but minimum wage is designed as it's an entry-level position. It's not. It was never designed or intended to be. Your first job you're making a full living at. These are lower skilled jobs. They're often. They're a vital part of the economy, yes. But if we go and you look at a business that has a 3 to 5% profit margin, and you increase their labor costs by 30%, which is what would happen under this initiative, something's going to give. And that's unfortunately going to be the people that this very initiative is designed to protect, or to help out, I should say. So an increase in 30% in labor cost on businesses, that is going to be a detriment to the economy. And if you look at what happened in SeaTac when they passed the $15 minimum wage a year and a half ago, I believe, the very people it's designed to be benefiting have been displaced, because what has happened is workers from outside of the SeaTac area that have higher skills are coming in because they have a wage that's under that 15, and they're coming in and taking those jobs. Like, well, I might as well take a job that I don't have to maybe put quite as much into as I am right now, and I'm going to make more money. And so the higher skilled workers are coming in and displacing the lower skilled workers. And again, the very people it's designed to help, it's hurting, it's displacing them, and it's costing jobs in SeaTac. The other part of this is there's a ratcheting effect there. If you're, we're a strong timber district here, and if you're out in the woods in the timber industry right now, and starting out, and you're depending, you're in that $15 to $20 range, and now suddenly you can go to work in a fast food place and make $15 an hour, and you don't have to be outside in the rain and the cold, and frankly, putting life and limb at risk, and you can go and work in a fast food environment or something similar to that. That's, again, you're going to displace workers there. And so what's going to happen now, the timber industry's got to make the compensation more, and this has a ratcheting effect across the economy. Price of timber is going to go up. Housing prices are going to go up. So it's something that, we need to look at a number of things in solving the minimum wage. I had a bill last year that would, when calculating the minimum wage, if an employer is paying benefits, that could be considered in part of the total compensation. So we need to look at this much more broadly than just the hourly wage.
Do you think it should be regionalized for minimum wage, even looking at maybe the state patrol pay based on region or teacher pay based on region in the different parts of the state?
It's interesting you bring that up. So this is part of the conversation I had with schools district superintendents yesterday. Is this regional issue, and obviously to live in Seattle, your housing is more expensive than it is here, but we have other costs here that are much more expensive than what they are in a metro area. And so when you start to put all these things on balance, there are pros and cons to any geographical area you live. And and we're working on a study with that right now. And we're one Washington. We're not, and we start piecemealing things together. I think we're setting things up for an even more tangled web, and so I don't agree with that approach.
I read in the Olympian last week or something like that. You have yet to announce who you're going to be voting for president. Do you have a decision on that yet?
Well, my whole campaign, I have focused on the 35th district and the people I represent, and that's where I'm campaigning on. I have not taken a position in the presidential race. That's not, it's been a race to the bottom at the presidential level, and I'm frankly not going to get involved in that. The 35th district is where I'm focused, and I'm not going to. It's not you specifically, Jeff, but this is something the media has done as a gotcha question. I'm just not going to participate in that part.
Okay. And so, closing, got a couple minutes left here. And why, again, should voters pick you over your opponent in this race?
First of all, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today and have this time to spend and answering these. I look at my track record. I have a strong bipartisan track record, and you can't just look at the bills that come to the floor for a vote. That's controlled by the other party, not by my party. So, you have to look at the full body of work, and that bipartisan work I've had, and it's the sponsorship of bills that have been bipartisan, and where my name is on a lot of those bills. The legislation I've had signed into law, beginning as a freshman in the minority party in 2013, to have 3 bills signed into law is pretty unheard of, and continuing that work through 2014. So we, on the K-12 side, we've increased funding by 30%. We've lowered, on average, higher tuition costs by 20%. On the economy, we've done reforms in the L&I. We've begun work on reforming B&O, the B&O tax system. It's had strong bipartisan support, and again, legislation signed into law that had bipartisan support that did reforms at L&I, and in reforming state government, making it more efficient, we've had bipartisan legislation signed in that have revamped agencies, including the state VA, and I look, and those are just a handful of examples, but I look at the full body of work over the last 4 years, and serving my constituents and helping them navigate everything. I'm proud of that work that we've done. We're not done, and we've got to continue to do that. And having built those partnerships across the aisle and in both chambers, in the Senate and the House, and with the administration when there's been cause to do so. And I want to take that and continue on to do that work in these areas. And I look at the capital budget and things that we've brought back to the district, including significant money that went into the Shelton Sewer to help rate relief here, and that's been a huge direct impact to the district, and and it's been leading on those issues from the get-go. And if people are gonna look for somebody that's with them 100% on everything, the only person that's gonna be is yourself. So there's always gonna be issues that we have disagreement on, but let's start with where we do agree, and let's move forward. And I also look at my support, and the bulk of that is within the district, and it's not from outside the district, and that is humbling, and I'm very grateful for that. that, and I look forward to continuing to carry that forward. And I think that things look good, and we're gonna do that. It's been a crazy election cycle from the national level on down, and I think we're all just looking forward to this being done. But I ask for the vote, and appreciate the support over the last 4 years, and look forward to continuing to serve you.
Well, we'll find out what happens in 2 weeks from today. Drew MacEwen is running a re-election for the 35th District Representative, and thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.